Welcome to another episode of the question and answer sessions for the US stocks. So in this video, I will go over some questions and also the analyzed charts from my Telegram group members and to walk through some of the commonly asked questions as well. So if you haven't joined my Telegram group, feel free to click the link below and just join in to interact with me. All right, so let's get started now. So the first question comes from Jamie. Okay, so here we go. Hi, MJ was thinking of the entry point of these two stocks, SABRE and JETS, and they have recently tanked and now showing sign of movement. Would want to know your opinion based on the TA, the technical analysis. Okay, sure. So let's see what you have got here. Okay, so this is SABRE, and okay, all right. So this is just a chart here. Well, pretty much I see a downtrend here and a bit of the oversold. And here is the support that SABRE have. So if you want to enter a long buy here, I think your trading plan would probably lean on the support structure. So that's the support and that's the down channel. So once it's hit the oversold and in conjunction with the support level, we see a rebound right there. Anyway, maybe let's look at the chart with a volume on trading view. So let's see. Okay, so this is SABRE. This. All right, so this is SABRE, and let's draw a few support and resistance quickly here. Okay, so that's the resistance, that's the support, and definitely is within the down channel, and that's the channel oversold. Okay, so Jamie, if you would like to buy SABRE, you need to have a trading plan. Like for example, why do you want to buy? Whether it's based on the support area or whether it's based on you just want to catch a mean of the reversion trade. Like every time you hit the oversold, it will just go up, oversold, go up. So oversold again. So if that's what you anticipate, then it's probably going to go up and test the resistance or the supply line. And but before that, do watch out for there is a resistance there. So this is the resistance and also another resistance. So somewhere around there. So right now the price is sort of in the middle of the channel. If you really want to buy, then probably you would like to place your stop. I would say it's probably below this swing low here, below 10. If you really want to have a very tight stop, then the structure that you lean on will be this tiny little range. You probably can look into the hourly time frame. Then if you want to play the breakout, then your stop would be somewhere around there. So it really depends on your trading strategy. Or if you want, you probably can wait for another test. It might or might not come. And after another test, reverse, then probably this is a better trade with a better reward to risk ratio while you can place your stop below this favorable support and your reward will be a lot better. So your risk will be this much while your reward will be slightly greater than your risk. So that is how I will look at it. Although I don't think it's quite a nice stock to trade because you can see that it's in a quite a clear downtrend. Unless your time frame is looking at probably this long-term view. So this is a very long-term view. So it really need to come up with your own trading strategy and with your own time frame. So that's how I will view this. At least short-term wise, probably is on the way up, but intermediate term will be still limiting by this down channel. But it's probably still developing the structure. So like within this big trading range. So that's the resistance, that's the support. So you need to just to see how you actually interact with the resistance level. All right, so that's SABRE, and let's look at JETS. So JETS, you also like to have an entry right there. So it's in a very similar chart pattern or the structure with SABRE. So one thing that I see JETS is probably slightly stronger. You can see if you want to really take a very long-term holistic view, so that's your long-term view, long-term up channel. Intermediate term is probably within the down channel oversold. So again, if you want to trade this kind of the reversion trade, like every time hit the oversold, rally up, maybe see this is another test, rally up, oversold, rally up. So here is probably just bumping to really oversold with the increasing of the supply level, and here's the support, and now it's just go back in. So like I say, you probably can either wait for another test and trade the reversal, or if you want, that is your tiny little structure for a relatively short-term trade, to trade to the upside, to test the first level is the axis line, so where the resistance or the support turn resistance. So that's the immediate resistance zone, followed by the supply line. So that's the plan for generally short-term swing trading. All right. Hopefully I answer your question, Jamie. So next question comes from White Shadow. So let's see. Hi MJ, what's your view on CHKP? How do you gauge sudden supply and demand change through earning announcement? Okay, that's a great question, White Shadow. Um, let's take a look at the CHKP and your chart here first. So okay, so that's your entry, your anticipated reward, that's your stop. Okay, so that's the daily chart of CHKP checkpoint software. Yeah, I think your plan exit is great. That is a natural place, the origin of the supply zone right there. So certainly it could find some supply there. We just need to see how it actually react. And earning is coming up. Um, your entry is probably lean on this little tiny structure right there. So it's quite a tight stop. And yeah, I think it does make sense. Probably view it in the hourly time frame will be even better. So let's take a look at CHKP. CHKP Checkpoint Software Technologies. All right. So definitely, this is I'll view it as probably a big trading range right there. So this is a huge chunk of the trading range. And in terms of your short-term trade, so that's somewhere around 26 or tomorrow. Tomorrow is the earning. So I mean, since you have already your plan and your question is really about how do we deal with the earning season, how do we sit through or how do we manage a trade during the earning. So my approach is very simple. I don't really care about the earning or the fundamental. So all I look at is the chart. So I'll approach it from the chart perspective. So first of all, we need to look at the past earning. So these are all the past earnings. So the green probably represent, I think, just beating. There's some positive surprise beat the expected. And what I generally like to look for is whether how the price will react to the earning, whether it's very volatile or whether it's just not that much of an event. So you can see that this is a earning, and I guess that could be probably this bar, so reacting like this. Usually I think it's about 2% or 3 5%, probably less than 5%, and this is another earning, and we can see that this is 10%. That's quite a lot, and another earning right there is probably, is look at the spread, I would say probably around 5%. So in general, probably is range from 5 to 10%. Yeah, so this is quite another big bar here, responding to the earning. So usually you probably can tell from the past earning events that is probably reacting and fluctuating, range from 5 to 10%. And if you really want to sit through the earning and with a tight stop, like it's less than 5%, so I think your stop is somewhere around here. So that is a quite a tight stop. And if the earning come, then I think it probably will whipsaw it, and re- most likely will just hit your stop, because that is a really tight stop, unless it's just have a very favorable outcome to just go up straight. um, if a stop is placed somewhere here, it's probably will not even hit, even if it had just a big spread bar like this, unless it just dropped like 10% like this. And second, I think the context is very important. So every time we look at the earning here, for the past, even the past four right there, the earning is pretty much within this big trading range. So that's the context. So we have an uptrend, there's a change of character, and the price structure is pretty much stuck within the trading range. So the earning happen within a trading range is, for example, this one. I think, okay, so this is the buying climax. Uh, Maybe let's look at this. This is the earning bar, 20 seconds. So it's in the middle of the range, going nowhere. So I would say that is probably a downturn right there. So it's probably favored to go down. So you can see that it's sort of topping, already show some breakdown before the earnings showed up, and then going back to test the support. And let's look at this earning. I guess this should be the big spike of the volume. Okay, so you can see that there is an upthrust going on right there. So there's an upthrust, and followed by a few rejection tail. So that's kind of a bit tricky. But if we just purely look at the structure, let's say if we want to think that there could be a sign of strength rally followed by a backup action, but for a backup action, and I do see some increasing of the supply level, which is not that favorable, and eventually it just sort of confirms itself. So not yet the sign of strength rally, so not a phase D, and it's just going back down and break below the support level. So it still pretty much wants to consolidating within the trading range. So it's just fluctuating within this trading range. And this is another earning right there. So you can see that it's sort of still testing this level. So there is a immediate resistance level. So there's a level, and I will consider this as probably not much event, because I wouldn't really just buy it right there. But for your case, there is certainly a structure right here. So this is a structure, and within this small structure is probably look like a sign of strength rally. So there's a sign of strength rally followed by a backup action. So since the earning is I think it's tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow 26, and we probably can anticipate some form of a moving up. So just by purely accessing this structure, so sign of strength rally, backing mark action, and next phase will be to mark up to at least test the resistance level. So structure, um, from a structure aspect, I think is very bullish. However, if there's a earning become not very favorable, then it's probably going back and to stay within this little trading range. So unless it's break below this trading range, then I think it's just going back down. So I will have a bullish view for CHKP. So generally, I will just look at the price structure in conjunction with the earnings. So if the price structure is showing some bullish sign, then I think probably the earning will be, or I should say that the market should react positively to the earning. So that is how I will view this. Okay, so this CHKP probably going to test the resistance level. But anyway, if you have a very tight stop, then probably won't be suitable to sit through the earning. So unless you put it somewhere around there or even below this big bar. Anyway, that's CHKP, and the next question. Let's see. That's DP, okay, Malaysia stocks, YBS stock. All right, so I think this last question comes from Ying Hui. Hi Ming Jong, the huge volume recently in Astrazeneca. How do we know that it's a good quality absorption, especially on 20 and 22nd July? All right, sure. Let's look at the chart first. So you have already highlighted 20, 22nd. I think it should be this one. So that would be the one. 22nd. Can't really confirm that. Maybe I'll look at the trading view chart. So your question is about whether it's a good quality of the absorption, 20 and 22nd July. Okay, so here's another comment from Dave. To add on to this, green bar represent volume strength, red weakening, so quality in terms of institution. Is there a way to double check who are in the volumes, or Wyckoff does not really need to know and let the volume solely do the talking? Can explain the 16 to 22nd July when the red bar appeared to rise and the price broke out the resistance. Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, is regarding whether you can double check this sort of the high volume, and also how do we interpret where there is a red volume while the price is going up. Sure, let's look at the chart first. So AstraZeneca, AstraZeneca, Pharma, AZN. Okay, so this is AstraZeneca. Well, the question about the 20 and 22nd, so okay, so that's 20 and that's 22nd. So these two volume bar here and here correspond to this and also this as well. Okay, so maybe let's look at it with a certain context. So this is pretty much an uptrend, and here comes a change of character. So you can see that this is the largest down wave that we have ever seen. So even from the uptrend a few months ago. So yeah, so if we look at the long-term view, that is pretty much a structure here. So there's a kind of a trading range, sign of strength rally, and recently it's just breaking out, and also probably this is a back test. Let's see, if we just purely look at this structure here, okay, and that's the all-time high level. Let's see, so this, the quality of this rally is certainly as of a sign of strength rally, and I do not really see a big test. Probably there's a backup action, but certainly it's just continue to trend up. And until this really change of character hit this. So what I actually anticipate, since we are pretty much seeing AstraZeneca within a relatively bullish structure, and if this is a sign of strength rally followed by this, then what we can anticipate is some form of the trading range and continuation, um, probably going to test the all-time high level right there. And in terms of the volume that you point out, that's definitely the highest volume that corresponds to this bar, and also that is another bearish bar right there. So the 20 July volume is probably the highest ever that we have seen. Uh, that volume, I will just start from this three bar here. So 1, 2, and 3. We definitely see increasing of the volume, and there is a lot of the selling right there. So you can see the true spread of this volume bar is pretty much the highest. So it's a quite a bearish bar. So there's a lot of the selling right there, and then followed by probably this bar, and you see this is a very small spread bar. So if you compare to this, suggesting that there's a lot of the supply being absorbed, because if the intent is to push a price down and with a similar type of the volume, and what actually stopping the price from moving down? So answer is very simple, it's a demand, and it's getting even obvious on this bar. So this is like a back holding. So you can see that this is probably the smallest spreads that we have ever seen out from this downtrend, with quite a high volume. So like a back holding, a lot of the supply just keep throwing out, and while there is somebody that I don't really know, like Dave say, whether we have any way to double confirm that. I probably think that you can check on some sites. They probably, if that's this much of the volume, is probably some form of the fund that's absorbing the supply, and I would bet on this is probably some kind of the acquisition happening, or maybe some form of the negative news, while some institution just see that there's value in it. That's why they just go out and absorb all the supply right there. So that's like a back holding strategy, and there's a lot of the supply being absorbed on this bar or this two bar. So a lot of the demand come in, and subsequently there is buying on the way up as well. That's why you see there's the spike of the volume right there with a gapping up action. So these three bars containing a ton of the demand. So there's demand, and back to Dave question, how do we see the red volume while it's moving up? I mean, the red volume doesn't really mean anything. It's like you probably can adjust it when it's go up, then it's show as a green volume. But that the red volume simply means that is the open and the close. So that's open at a high, close at the lower. So there's a red volume, open high, then close at the low, another red volume. But in fact, if we look at the price change, that's a up bar, another up bar, and then the third is also the up bar. So the price is also going up. It's just that it's just a open high and close at the low. That's why it shows as the red volume. So in fact, it's just simply closing higher and higher. So in terms of this bar right there, there's a spike of the volume. Well, I don't really know what's going on. It's probably related to some form of the news. You might want to check what's behind the story of AstraZeneca, whether there is a acquisition going on or whether it is some form of the negative news. But certainly, if you look at the volume alone, that's a lot of the volume. But look at the spread; it doesn't really show a very bearish spread. So if the all the volume here is pure supply, then what we can expect is another form of the big bearish bar, and to tank the price to at least test the support level. So it doesn't really look like it. So I'm not too sure the story behind, but certainly it's not bearish. So whatever the volume come out, there is also the demand to absorb it. So that's why we don't really see the downward movement. Um, but certainly there is a supply zone right there, and we want to see how you actually react, whether you can just overcome, or most likely I think they will have another test going on with a decreasing of the supply, since that the supply is quite significant, especially if you look at these two bars. So the bar show up right there, although it's a very small spread bar, but the supply is definitely coming out. So the whole chunk right there is probably the supply zone, and that is also the natural resistance level, and probably we'll just test that and have a reaction down. All right, so suddenly there's a lot of the absorption going on these three bars, and probably on this bar as well, although it's a big bearish bar, but I think there is also some absorption or some buying on the way down as well. Okay, so that's AstraZeneca. Hopefully I answer your question. I think that's all for the questions. All right, so thanks for watching. I will see you next week.